Good afternoon, guys. How are you all doing? Welcome back to Historical Horses. I think it's the 4th of October today. Pretty sure it is. We've got Storm Amy currently outside. She has been very blustery and we're not in a particularly bad area. I know lots of the country are really in the thick of the storm. We're very much on the outside, but it has been very, very windy here indeed. So it's meant I've had very much a day inside. I've got a little bit of cabin fever now. I feel like I need to go outside and have a walk and stretch my legs and get some fresh air. I have spent this week really just researching all sorts of equestrian or horse topics to try and think about what I want to research in the future. And sometimes I found topics that I was absolutely fascinated by, but there were like no images to go with it. And other times there wasn't like enough history to make a whole vlog on it and things like that. And then this afternoon, I came across this picture, I put it on the screen, and I was like, well, that's interesting. Like this lovely old advertising on this brick wall. And you can see that it was obviously once a stables that hired out horses and carriages. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And it turns out they call this ghost signs because it's signs from the past. And I thought that's kind of cool. And I was like, is there any more kind of horse related ghost signs out there? And off I went on this interesting journey looking at old ghost signs, and oh my goodness, I love it. This really is right up my street because it's little bits of history that's still there to be seen with the naked eye. And I guess so many people probably walk past them and don't give it a second thought, and you just think that's been there over 100 years, if not longer. And oh my god, the stories that could be told. And yeah, I find it fascinating. And also, you know, architecture, looking at buildings that were once maybe a forge or a stables or a repository, and you know, there only being little glimmers of it left, but it's still there. Oh yes, I got very excited. I thoroughly enjoyed this topic. I'm hoping I've got enough just to do a London video today, and then I can do another one for other ghost signs around the country, because yeah, it's just really interesting. I wish I could have found more information though on some of these signs and advertising, because some of them I just can't find anything, and it seems such a shame. I thought that history just seems to have been lost, but let's get into it. So we're going to start with the image I just showed you, which is of Turn Chapel Mews in Clapham. And obviously when this advertising was put up, it must have been because this business was hiring out horses and carriages. So like I say, you'd assume kind of late 1800s. And my goodness, this mews is stunning. It is so beautiful. You have to have quite a few pennies in your bank account if you want to buy a house down there. And interesting fact, Roald Dahl used to live down there. And his house, this was back in 2023, I think, from the article I was reading, his house was on the market for over 3 million. I mean, it was stunning, I'm not going to lie. Inside and out was breathtaking, but whoop, pricey. But I love the kind of cobbled street that you get with mews, and the fact that the buildings still look like a mews. They've obviously got nothing much else left of them from the days when they kept horses and coaches and grooms upstairs, but at least the kind of outside look of them, you can still see where the carriage doors would have been. Anyway, so as I say, this was Turn Chapel Mews. Now, I couldn't find out anything about what this business might have been that had this signage up. I did find out, and you can see from the writing, that it then turned into a car garage, which was a very common thing, because obviously once motor vehicles were invented and horsepower slowly started to decline, lots of mews, lots of stables were turned into garages. And of course, mewses were very much the stable yards for big houses in the area. So you would have a kind of nice, lovely row of them, and each of the mewses would belong to a very large, posh house nearby. And that is where the horses would be kept, the carriages would be kept, and the stable boys, the grooms, would live above the stables. Next up is a beautiful sign in Barbun, I think I've said that right, Close, which is obviously again in London, and it is opposite Great Ormond Street's Children's Hospital. And oh my goodness, this really feels like you're going back in time. The house, so there's like a little gangway, and the sign is on the inside of the gangway, and the house to the left of it, I believe, is one of the if not the oldest houses in Bloomsbury. As you can see, the sign says G. Bailey and Sons Horses and Motor Contractors. Now, from what I found online, the company closed in 1951 and the earliest record is from 1888. So obviously this was a business that started out with horses, and then as motor cars were invented, they also moved into the motor car industry. And Barban Close used to be known as Ormond Mews and Ormond Yard. It sounds so weird saying Ormond without saying Great Ormond Street. Like I'm doubting myself as I'm hearing it. This sign is hanging up at Cheney Mews in Chelsea. Do we think it's an original? I'm not sure. But signs like this would have been up in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And as you can see here, it is reminding people to walk their horses while passing under the archway into the mews. We now move on to Eton Mews, Belgravia, to this incredible signage, which is still huge and very visible. It looks like someone's given it a recent paint. It took me some time to find this on Google Maps, I have to say. Turns out that Eton Mews is quite big and there's kind of like a north, south, east and west. So it took a bit of finding, but I got there in the end. Initially, I was really panicked and thought that it'd been knocked down or something, but it's not. It is still there. Isn't it amazing? It's so big still. It's just so wonderful to see. And I believe that obviously it says there that it was a forge and a horse infirmary. And I believe now where that part was is a car garage. And from what I gather online, this was quite a smart horse infirmary and forge. The aristocracy took their horses there and the household cavalry took their horses there. So it was a posh one, very posh one. I mean, it would be if it was in Belgravia, let's be honest. And supposedly along with the horse infirmary, the forge, there would have been stables, of course, there was also a carriage repair shop. So, you know, you get it all done down there. Next up, not so much a ghost sign, but an actual building that holds a lot of history. And it took some fight, I believe, to save this building. It is the last horse repository building left in London, which is rather bonkers because London had a lot of horse repositories hundreds of years ago. So the fact that this is the only one left, or the one that, you know, the building still has the facade of one left, is really sad, to be quite honest. And thank God they managed to save it and get it to become a listed property, because otherwise it would have been gone. So this is Stapleton's Horse Repository. And what's so lovely, I don't actually know if anything's been done with this building yet, because for quite some time I think it's been boarded up. But on the inside, supposedly, who knows if it is still there, but they had the horse ramp so you could get the horses upstairs, and they were like it was a very wide staircase with very low steps and lots of them. So it was easy for the horses to walk up there. And I believe that it was a surprisingly big building. I can't use the photos to show you, sadly. I wish I could. But it was really quite a big building on the inside. It looked so small from the outside, but it wasn't. It was a bit like a gallery effect. So on the ground floor, I believe, would have been like the showroom for the carriages and also where the auctions would have taken place. And then you could go up a level, and that was like a bit of a gallery, so you could look down over. And I think if you went up again, that was where all the stalls were. It still blows my mind to think that horses were, you know, on the third story of a building, you know, looking out the windows across London. Like, it blows my mind. But yeah, who knows if the ramp is still in there. Let's hope it is. Let's hope somebody hasn't destroyed it. And I believe there was like a bit of a courtyard outside, but I think that's now gone. But it's lovely to still sort of see that lovely arch at the front where the carriages would have gone in. Yeah, at least some of it's still there. The last one isn't really a ghost sign, but it is a sign of what this building used to be. So on Morocco Street in London, I saw these beautiful stone horse heads on this building. I mean, they're absolutely exquisite. It's now a garage, as you can see. So this building used to be a forge and a coach house. And you can obviously see where the garage front doors are. That's where the coaches would have gone in. But how smart to have these beautiful stone horse heads. You'd get the feeling that this was quite a posh coach house, surely. And And the fact that it also was a forge there. And I believe I read somewhere that supposedly there's still horse ties in the courtyard out the back, which is very cool. I was thinking, oh, I'd love to go and see that. I know it's just a tie, but the fact is it's been there a very long time. But again, couldn't find any information on the people that might have been there, the types of horses. Like, oh, I'd love to know all these details. I want to know more, but sadly, I don't. But the fact is, this gorgeous building at least is still standing, and these stone horse heads are still there. Looks like someone's probably given them a bit of a paint at some point, but you know, they're still there. That's the main thing. I hope you enjoyed this very quick little video, guys. Like I said, I'm going to do a separate one on sort of ghost signs and, you know, little architecture details of old coach houses, forges, stables across the country. Just little beautiful hints of past history relating to horses. And I'm sure there's more. I'm going to continue to investigate and see if I can find some more because, yeah, I find it absolutely fascinating, as I said. But this is a bit of a short video, but I thought perhaps it is best just to keep all the London ones together. So I hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments if you know of any others. Please do. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and see you again next week.